This question is from Stuart Munday. I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed your conversation with Sam Harris, but it did raise a couple of questions for me. I am curious how you think science, in principle, can study something with no objective qualities like consciousness in Advaita Vedanta. Science, being based on observation and experimentation, seems to me to be inherently based on perception and logic. And second, as you know, the traditional perspective is that Vedanta is a pramana for knowing the self. As a pramana, it must meet the criteria of providing knowledge that is unique versus what can be gained from other pramanas, example, perception and logic. So therefore, if we say that science can tell us about the self, we are blowing up the entire foundation for Vedanta as a pramana, which leads to numerous philosophical problems. Please explain.
Another good question. Yeah, let's again understand the question, what he's trying to say here clearly. It's a really good question. Pramana is instrument of knowledge, so as we just discussed. So this is related to the earlier question. Now, Vedanta is supposed to be a pramana, instrument of knowledge for showing us who we are, the self, that you are Brahman. The Upanishads are the texts which point out your real nature. So they are the pramana, the source of knowledge for showing what you are. Now, one principle of epistemology is that the instruments of knowledge, they function exclusively with regard to their object. What it means is, what the eyes reveal to me, the ears don't reveal that to me. If I say that the flower is so colorful, the flower arrangement is so colorful, and if you say, no, I don't hear that. Hearing is not a proof for how colorful the flower arrangement is, right? This dish is so tasty. And if somebody says, but I can't see that. You can't see taste. You have to taste it with your tongue. Tongue is the instrument for taste. Color is, the eyes are the instrument for color. Ears are the instrument for sound. And then the inference, scientific inference is the instrument for, so suppose somebody says, you say that there are atoms all around here. I can't see them, so there aren't atoms. Instrument for the atoms, for seeing the atoms is not the eyes. It's through scientific information, you gather data, and on that basis, you postulate that there are things like atoms. So, there are these different instruments of knowledge, and notice one thing about them. They give knowledge about something particular which other instruments cannot. If other instruments of knowledge start intruding in the area of each other, there will be confusion. You will never know anything for certain. There will be conflict. One will tell you something and the other instrument will deny that. Then you don't know. Now, the Upanishads are supposed to be the instrument of knowledge for knowing the self, the pramana for knowing the self. And therefore the question here is, if you say science, by science somehow we can know that we are the self, we are Atman, we are the self, everybody knows, I am myself, who else could I be? But the self is existence, consciousness, bliss. It can be known by science. If you start saying that, then you are coming in conflict with Upanishads, Vedanta. Vedanta claims exclusive, that it's a pramana, this is my area. Vedanta can reveal. Science cannot reveal that you are Brahman. And there are good reasons. Why not? Are you just stipulating that? Are you being fanatical about it? No, because science requires some objective data to work. And witness consciousness, pure consciousness, is not an object out there. It is that to which everything else is an object. It is consciousness itself. It's you yourself. It's not a thing. Therefore, if the person who asked this question, you will see in my conversation with Sam Harris or with anybody else, you will notice carefully that I word my statements carefully. I do not say that science can reveal the Atman. I will never make a direct statement like that, because I'm aware of this conflict and it will make a serious problem. See, the science as it operates now, it's, as he said, it's based on objective data and reasoning on objective data. If something does not have objective features, how will the science even get started? Okay, So you're right. There's also a long, winded way of saying that you're right. Science does not, cannot, should not, need not reveal the Atman, reveal that you are Brahman or Atman. Upanishads are enough for that. Vedanta is enough for that. But is science entirely useless? No. There is, think about it. How do the Upanishads actually reveal that you are Brahman? Even the Upanishads use the method of neti neti, not this, not this. They will show you you're not the body, you're not the mind, whatever you thought you were, you're not that. And then intuitively, you're supposed to catch what you are. What do you mean intuitively? I can't, that's the closest word I can use. Consciousness is self-evident and self-revealed. And I'm using those words very carefully. Self-evident and self-revealed. And therefore, when all our confusions about what we are cleared up by the Upanishads, you're not this, you can clearly, I will show to you, you cannot be the body, you cannot be the mind, you cannot be this limited personality, then it suddenly becomes clear to us what was always there, that I am this limitless awareness in which the mind and the body and the limited personality appeared, in which the entire universe of experience appeared. I am that limitless awareness. It becomes clear to me. That is self-knowledge, self-realization. But how did you do it? How did the Upanishads help us? By not this, not this. They can't directly point it out also, because language cannot point it, let alone science. Language cannot talk about it. Even concepts in the mind cannot. See, concepts in the mind are also the knower. And but they are all lit up by you, the consciousness. They're all powered by you, the consciousness, in a certain sense. Now, what I'm trying to say in the conversation with Sam Harris and elsewhere also is that science can also help us in that negative sense. It can show to us that consciousness cannot be reduced to matter. After making all sorts of efforts to show that consciousness is nothing but the brain, we have ended up with the hard problem of consciousness, thanks to David Chalmers. That's what science has done. More we are investigating the brain, more we learn about the brain, but more we see that consciousness still remains a mystery. What does science do? The new science of artificial intelligence, the ChatGPT and everything else, all sorts of artificial intelligence programs and devices. Notice how they are replicating, imitating characteristics of the human mind which we thought were uniquely human. Creativity, intelligence, decision making, memory, of course. Even a calculator has more memory than we have. I mean, more reliable memory, let's say. Perception. See, the Google car, what is it? The driverless car. It drives a car just like you, or even better than you. Certainly better than me. So it does all these things which we thought were uniquely human. It can write stories and poems, actually, and pretty good ones too, the ChatGPT. So my take on this is, what struck me. They are able to replicate everything that our minds do except one thing. Consciousness. These devices are not conscious. They are not conscious. You will say, says who? Don't ask me. You just go and ask the people in Silicon Valley, the people who are designing these things, and you ask them, so have you designed them for consciousness? No. Why not? Because first of all, we don't even know what consciousness is. Now think how interesting that is. In some ways, intelligence, creativity, these are very complex things. To model them, to simulate them in artificial entities like ChatGPT, it's a very difficult task. It's only now beginning to become possible with enormous amounts of computing power. Compared to that, consciousness should have been a simple task. Simulating consciousness should have been simple. Because what does consciousness do after all? It does only one thing. Only one thing. It gives you first-person experience. Just experience. Anubhav, feels like something. That's all consciousness does. Then how is it that that simple thing cannot be replicated in these machines? Everything else can be replicated. That shows us that Science, by its own efforts, in a negative way, is beginning to isolate everything else from consciousness. Yeah. So this is my take on what science can do and cannot do.